Welcome to the Nourish Soul podcast, where we talk about all things nourishing to the body, mind, and soul. I'm your host, Dr. Kelli Ritter. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be back recording episodes. We have been gone. We've not been gone. We've been here, but we have taken a break. So 6 weeks or so it's been since our last episode, which was me talking about I don't even remember what because so much has happened since then. And I have tried to record this episode multiple times now. Once I was having a bad hot flash and the dog was barking, and so I stopped. But I keep trying to record and then I keep stopping because I'm like, I don't know how much I really want to talk about the hurricane. But I want to tell you what's been happening. And I want to tell you the good parts about what's been happening and how I've managed to do really, really well and cope so well with everything that's been going on. And the other reason that we took 6 weeks, well, we had to reschedule everybody that was supposed to come on the podcast, and a lot of those have been now we've been recording those, and those are really good. I'm so excited for you to hear them. So those are gonna be coming out, and it's really great information. So stay tuned for that. But I felt like I needed to come on and just give you an update about what's been going on. And some of you, especially those of you who follow me on Instagram or on social media, and you've reached out to ask how we're doing and all of that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So I just haven't really been on social media a ton either because we needed time to heal. I needed time to heal. I needed time to just be with my community and to process the trauma that we've been through with the hurricanes and to get my house in order. We are back in our house and we are very lucky. So, yes, we had a ton of damage. The first floor of our house had basically a 2, 3 foot river going through it. The doors broke. One of the doors broke during Helene, and as we were trying to, I wasn't. My husband was trying to get it back, and my son was holding, and there's no way Helene was having her way with us. And so the door broke open, and then within an hour or so, all the doors downstairs were broken open. And it was just a river blowing and furniture and stuff. And it was just, yeah. So all of our vehicles, my mom's car was here. So one of my mom's cars and my son's car, my car, my husband's car, our golf cart, everything. Yeah. All floating, yeah, all destroyed during Helene. And so that's what happened during Helene. And so much had to be canceled or rescheduled or put on the back burner. Because then, of course, we had Milton coming straight at us. So luckily, our neighborhood was pretty much spared. Some of the the tornadoes that were spinning off did some damage, but our I just knew all the piles because so many piles of everything that was inside people's homes that got wet and destroyed was all outside in their driveways. I mean, it looked like a war zone after Helene and then Milton coming. I was just so worried about all of the stuff flying around, and when we got back actually the next day after Milton, and the piles were pretty much the same. I really could not believe it, at least in our neighborhood. There was damage in our area, and a lot of people were out of power. We were out of power for 10 days with Helene, and then but we had power after Milton. I mean, literally, I couldn't believe it. So, in the scheme of things, we were very lucky. And even though we did not evacuate, we don't typically, I think we will always evacuate now. My husband usually doesn't like to evacuate because you sometimes can't get back on the island, which is actually what happened in Helene. And then you've just got water inside your house and you can't get there to clean it up and open things up and move everything out. And so he doesn't like to leave. And we have a second and third floor. And our first floor was not designed for a river to come through it, but designed for some flooding. We did not evacuate during that. And yes, it was scary, but at no point did I actually fear for my life. So I'm just wanting to send everyone who has been affected by any of the things that are the traumatic things that go on in our world, by the hurricanes. Just seeing the devastation all through the Carolinas was, yeah, my heart goes out to everyone there. And I know there's still a lot of suffering that's happening. So we just want to send you all from the Nourished Soul podcast. And over here, my team wants to send you some love. I want to send you some love for any stresses and any traumatic experiences, past, present, current. Yeah, just sending a tremendous amount of love to everyone. And what I really wanted to talk about is all of the things that have been good. It was a lot of clearing, and it forced me to surrender. When I looked out front, and we never have flooding. Not never, can't say that anymore, right? We have not had before Helene flooding in our front yard or any of the front. And so when I looked out front, the power had already gone off. It was already it was flooding downstairs, but I don't know what there's the trauma brain gets hijacked, right? And so I was like, "Oh, the front." And I looked out the window and I saw my son's cars, the lights were on. And I was like, why did his lights come on?" And then I saw the car bobbing up and down. I was like, "Oh, this is really bad." So, and I kept saying over and over again, "Oh my God, oh my God, like I could like I needed to go do something." And in that moment, I was like, all you can do, Kelly, you can keep saying that over and over if you want to, but all you can do is survive this and deal with it tomorrow. Just see what you're dealing with tomorrow. That's all there is to do, is to make it through the night as best you can, and we'll see what's happening tomorrow. And that was the first of the deep surrender. And then it was over and over and over again. I had to keep surrendering over and over, surrendering to things that I couldn't do, or I could, I could get to what I could, and I just had to give up on some of the things that I was, that we were. It's just so many things, right? Because then when Milton came, right, I had to just do what needed to be done, and I needed time to do some recovery. And so I really focused on, I still was doing a little bit of work, but mostly just cleaning up, helping my neighbors, and getting our house to where we could get back in our house. And that's it. That's all I was doing. So that's what I've been doing for 6 weeks. And the beautiful Pace, who is now Pace Strickland, Pace is my right-hand woman at the Nourish Soul podcast. She is the producer, she helps edit, she's how I created she's helped me put together the podcast, and she is amazing. She got married, so she needed to go get married and go on a honeymoon, and so I said, "You know what? We're not pushing. I don't wanna push anymore." That is what a traumatic experience can do for you. The traumatic growth part of that, if you actually get supported and you're able to feel all the feelings and ride the waves of the emotion, and you are actually safe, you're able to get to a safe place and you have the support. Generally, that's a felt sense of safety and a felt sense of being supported. So, perception is everything. Of course, actually being safe is important, but the perception that you have the social support, that is actually the number one ingredient to having an experience that is traumatic actually turn out to be more of a transformative traumatic growth experience versus something that then causes a lot of problems and damage, and I don't even wanna say damage, because it's not like you're damaged goods because of the traumatic experiences, but often the beliefs that we have about ourselves, depending on what kind of trauma it is, that is what, we survive these things, but then the aftermath, the beliefs that we have, we don't necessarily trust ourselves or trust the world or trust God or trust anything anymore. And a lot can, if you don't have the space to actually process that and you don't have the support, especially if you don't actually have a felt sense of safety, then all of that either has to get relegated and shoved down so that you can continue to do whatever functioning you can do. So it gets pushed down, repressed, like shoved and relegated to either some part of your psyche, but we also know the body keeps the score. So generally, it's going to be also stored in the body, or maybe that gets stored in the biofield too. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, it will continually create problems for us if we have not been able to fully process that. And another thing that happens when we have these kind of experiences is that it leaves a more vulnerable inner landscape. And so now we're a little more triggered. Like we were noticing the wind was picking up at our house, and we were all a little more anxious. And I don't always I never love when it's super windy and the trees are blowing, but I'm a little more anxious about that than I was before Helene and Milton were coming straight at us. So all of that is normal, but if you don't have any way to really the process is probably not even the best word to actually feel the feelings. If it doesn't feel safe to feel the feelings and you don't feel supported, then that can just build up more and more vulnerability, more and more triggering, because you don't feel safe. So, of course, your nervous system is going to be, it's like a fire alarm going off inside of you, whether there's a fire or not. You have some people will call it a false fire alarm. I don't think it's false. I think the fire alarm is saying, I don't feel safe. Your nervous system is giving you signals that it doesn't feel safe. You've got rapid cellular danger signaling going on. And so it's difficult to think, it's difficult to make decisions, it's difficult to then behave in ways that are really helpful to you. Sometimes we get very destructive in our behaviors. We start doing a lot of numbing with substances, work, gambling, all kinds of behaviors that are not really serving us. That all can ensue after that. So, I happened to be doing my a lot of havening sessions with people before Helene. I was wrapping up my certification, and this certification, I've done a lot of certifications and a lot of different trauma tools. I'm EMDR trained, mindfulness based stress reduction, MBSR, brain based hypnotherapy, EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, all kinds of things. I've done all kinds of trainings. Havening and the havening touch and the havening, which I'm going to explain to you in a minute, it's been it's probably the most challenging certification that I've ever done, and it was also the most supportive one. It's the best mentoring I've ever had with any of the different tools that I have done. I would say trauma tools, because the Quantum Biology Collective is also really supportive, and that's been an amazing experience for me. That's really my favorite certifications have been the Quantum Biology Collective and becoming certified in applied quantum biology or circadian health, and also the havening technique. So those have been my two favorites so far, mainly because of the people and because of the mentoring and because of how helpful it is to me. So there's nothing, I'm not trying to dog any of the other things. I use EFT quite a bit. I do like emotional freedom technique, the tapping. I do like that technique. It's a nice little tool. I love what I learned about in hypnotherapy and brain-based hypnotherapy. I love what I learned about language. And I did trauma informed yoga training. I really did enjoy that too. So there are some that just kind of resonate with you because it actually works for you. And so that's why I've liked those the most. So I think the reason I was able to be as resilient as I was, well, first of all, I never feared for my life. I might have, should have, but I didn't. I don't know. It just didn't occur to me that I knew I was going to live. I just knew there was going to be a lot of mess during both of those. There was a lot of stress, but I also had my routine. and I'm going out for sunrise. Come hell or high water, I'm gonna find some sunrise. Yes, my routine had to be I had to surrender that too. It was just so much surrendering to, rescheduling things being canceled. I was supposed to be in Atlanta to see my mom. We had all yeah, all cancel, cancel. Yeah. Some things got rescheduled, but a lot of things just were canceled. My car that I love so, so much, which you probably shouldn't love a car as much as I do. I loved that car. She ran for 2 days, bless her heart, and we thought because she was really high that maybe she didn't get that much water, maybe whatever she started, and that was how we were able to leave to go stay with friends that had power, which is so amazing that they took us in twice. They took us in after Helene, and then they took us in for Milton. And it was, a jungle with a bunch of dogs and a bunch of people and a bunch of stuff, but yeah, it was really amazing to have that kind of support. But my car is what got us out of here. I had just yeah, just you just had to keep surrendering more and more. There was there you sh Yeah, yeah, she died 2 days. Went to jump in the car to go to Tampa to a workshop that I was determined to get to, even, right after Helene, I was determined to go to Tampa to get it, and I went to get in the car, and she didn't start, so I had to Uber. It was just, like, one thing after another, but I think the reason that I was able to be resilient is because of the quantum health strategies that I've been doing. I am in love with the Life Wave patches. So some of you see me talk about the Life Wave patches. Amazing. All these patches. I was all patched up during all of this. I was using multiple different, yeah, where's my sleep one? Yeah. Silent Nights is the one for sleep. I was here. For those of you who can't see, because you're not watching this on YouTube, you're just listening. The LifeWave patches are these little circular patches that have technology in the middle. There's a circle in the middle. So they're circular, and then there's this patch in the middle that nothing goes in your skin transdermally, nothing pokes at you. It's just this sticker, basically. It's a patch. And in the center of the patch, there is technology. And that technology, which is patented, is using the light that we make inside of us. And if you've ever listened to any of my podcasts, you know how excited I am about the light inside of us, the light that we make. We are these bodies that we think of as bodies. It's literally light and water, the intersection or the interactions between light, water, and proteins. That's basically what we are. But the light gets me really excited. The water is really all of it's really exciting, but, I'm really into the light. So I was really excited to learn about these patches that utilize the light inside of us, this technology. And I wanted to use them before I started sticking them on my family, right? So of course my son has used them, my husband's using them. I can't wait to use them with my mother. So I was feeling a lot of like my energy was really good, and I've had a lot of healing. Got to reduce my thyroid medication within a couple of weeks of being on the X39 patch. So I was doing all of those things. I'm doing all the quantum health stuff. I was going outside for sunrise, regardless of, I mean, if there was a day that I couldn't do it, I wouldn't have done, but I could. Luckily, I was able to get outside at sunrise every single day, and it just sets the tone for my day. I know that's where I'm gonna be during sunrise. I may not know what the rest of the day is gonna be doing, but I know that's what I'm gonna be doing. And I also surrendered to the fact that we are not promised, the new song, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, no one's promised tomorrow. No one's promised the rest of today. We aren't even promised later today. So, utilizing each moment, this whole experience, it made me feel closer to my neighbors, a more sense of community. This moving to Florida was my husband's, this is what his dream. He wanted to have the boat out back and the whole thing. So, it was his dream to move here, and I really do enjoy it. But I felt so strongly that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and that I was supposed to be here during this time, and that these are my people, and we are Florida strong. And so really couldn't believe how much I felt that, but also surrendering to the fact that I don't know what today is going to bring, but I will do everything I can to be up at sunrise. I will be all patched up with my LifeWave patches. There's power, then I'm going to be using red light therapy. Like I use all the tools that help my mitochondria that also are really protective and supportive of my circadian rhythms. Like I am going to be doing that as best I can because that is what makes me feel really good, very grounded, helps me with building that window of tolerance because we become very vulnerable. The inner landscape becomes vulnerable. So, what you want is a felt sense of safety. And all of those strategies, those quantum health strategies, those are sending safety signals to on a cellular level to your body. So that's why I kept up that, and that's what was sort of holding me together through all of the stressful experiences. The sense of community, and then also havening. I have been doing a lot of havening, and what havening is, it was developed by Ronald Rudin, who is a neuroscientist, and he had some other name. I should have looked it up before I did this. I don't remember. It was like more scientific about delta waves because that's what it's doing. It's touch that you we can do, and it's the science on certain areas of the body where we touch that generate delta waves. And delta waves are the slowest brain waves. They're regenerative, restorative, and calming. And so these tools, so there are techniques, but it's through the touch. There are different techniques that we do. When you're certified to do this, you can do different techniques, but the touch, anybody can practice this touch. The palms of the hands are one of the places that can generate a lot of delta waves. So just rubbing your hands back and forth, maybe using your palm of your hands to rub a pet or a pillow that has some texture on it, all of that will generate some delta waves. The face, especially the cheeks. So I love the heart. My mentor, Elena Kendler, did the heart, where you just kind of use the tips of your fingers and make a heart around your face. And I love that one because it feels very soothing, but it's the face, especially the cheeks, will generate delta waves. And also the arms from our shoulders to our elbows. So the tops of our arms. So we could do something like a little butterfly where we rub the tops of our arms from the shoulders to the elbows. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see these. That touch is what is generating the delta waves. So we can utilize the touch with some techniques that can reduce distress and traumatic experiences. And there's a whole science to this. It's a neuroscience, and it's through frequency that we encoded, the trauma got encoded. So we can depotentiate, is what it's called, depotentiate these AMPA receptors that are in the amygdala in the brain, and so bring down distress even from past experiences. And so, or we can also use this touch generating delta waves for enhancing positive feelings. And the point is a felt sense of safety. This is helpful in creating a felt sense of safety inside the body. There are many different ways, there are many techniques that you could use. This is just my favorite. It's one that I have really embraced. Of all the trainings I've done, this one has just been the most satisfying for me. It feels the best to me personally, and when I'm also working with other people, because obviously I work with a lot of anxiety recovery, stress and anxiety. So this is a tool that I use when I'm working with people. And I had been doing a lot of it because I was wrapping up the certification. And so we had to do 30 cases to be certified, 30 written cases, two video cases, one exam, science exam, and then a course on ethics and a quiz on ethics. And all of that had to be done and feedback on that and done well, and you had to get 100% on the exam and the quiz in order to become certified in the work. And also just a ton of mentoring with the process, which has been really lovely. So I was doing a lot of the havening, this havening technique beforehand, which I think was helpful. And I did not remember to do any of the tools, as many of us in the middle of a crisis or in the middle of a traumatic experience, your brain is hijacked and we don't remember to use the tools. But I have amazing people because I've also done Psych K and I really enjoyed Psych K too. I don't use that as much with clients because I would need to do that in person with people, and I mostly see people online and teach courses. And so Psych K is better, but I use Psych K all the time personally. And I have been doing a lot of that too. And then all my people. So, Ellie Richter, who's been on the podcast, reached out to me and said, "I'm happy to do an emergency session with you." And so we did some Psych K and some somatic work that was so powerful. I'm so grateful to Ellie for that. My beautiful friend Tracy, who is my havening friend, we have done a lot of the havening certification together, and she's amazing. She's amazing. My friend Kimberly, who's also a psych, she and I trained together in Psych K. All these people, some California. Kimberly happens to be in Florida. Yeah, but Tracy's in California. Ellie's over in California. Like all of these people were like, "How can I help you?" Elena, my mentor, who's in North Carolina, who's been on the podcast, so you can watch the episode with Elena Kindler on Havening. She was in Asheville and she was reaching out to me just to send some love and to also offer if I needed to do some havening, just amazing support. And all of our friends here. I am so, so blessed and grateful to have amazing neighbors, amazing I have an amazing trainer at the gym, and Hannah absolutely Hannah was like, "We can cancel." I was like, "No, I'm going to be there. If the gym is open, I need to like lift some heavy stuff. I need to, roll a tire down the lane, I just need to do some getting some of the stress out of my body because we know the body keeps the score. So doing some body work is also helpful. Breath work can be very helpful. Breath work's hard on people. It can be like disturbing sometimes if you're doing it. You don't want it to be traumatizing, but it can also be really powerful, really healing. So I was doing all of the tools once we were out of danger, once my brain started re-engaging. And for me, the easiest place to start was with the quantum health stuff. It's really easy to slap a sticker on me, these patches, and know that that is helpful to me. And it was really easy to just include havening. I just havened my way from after Helene, well, before Helene, and then once I got my brain back, after Helene through Milton. So this is what was really, really cool too. Eileen Day McCusick, there were tons of people, but Eileen Day McCusick, Electric Body, Electric Health, was the book that I love that book. She has other books, but she was hosting a sound healing and meditation through Milton, like right while Milton was actually hitting, and I was staying with friends, so I had power, and I got she was live on YouTube, I think, yeah. So I got on and was havening and humming. I didn't have any instruments. I was humming with my own hum, which humming is a really great distraction with doing the havening. So I was havening and humming during Milton, and one of the things that was really powerful that Eileen did was before we did anything, before we started sending love to Milton or doing anything with the sound or anything else, we just tuned in and listened. Like, imagined being in the middle of Milton, the hurricane, and actually just listening instead, and it was so, so powerful. And I know lots of people were holding meditations and healings and sound and sending love. And I'm telling you, I was sitting in Florida praying and humming and havening and on this, meditation live YouTube thing with Eileen, and it was so powerful. I could feel it. Like, you could feel the love, you could feel, we didn't know what was gonna happen. We didn't know if Milton was gonna, like, it just was not looking good for a very long time for us. And I mean, we knew Milton, he was gonna hit, and it just, I could feel that even in whatever was going to happen, there was so much love and so much light and so much protection being sent our way. And you could just feel it. And it was really powerful. And it changed me. So Helene changed me, and I became much more able to surrender to what is, not what I hope something's, I still I'm hopeful. It's not like I've given up hope or anything like that. I meant, what I wish things would be like or how I wish things would be. Did I even say that correctly? No. When I get kind of caught up, as I do, as we all do, in how things should be, and how I want things to be, and especially work stuff. So much was going on at work. We were moving, my team had been working so hard to move platforms. We have changed from the Nourished Soul. The website is now Quantum Mental Health and Anxiety Recovery, because that is the work that I have been doing and I'm really passionate about doing. So everything was getting kind of moved over to the new platform, Kajabi platform. So if you have courses, you can still all the access. Those of you who are, have all of that, you've been getting the emails, you know that you can still have access to all of the courses. And it's just a much more robust platform. And we're really excited about it. So all that was happening. And I had ideas of how it was supposed to happen and how we were supposed to roll things out. And I just had to surrender. Like, there's nothing else you can do when other things need tending to. And my internal system, my nervous system, my terrain, my gut health, all of that needed tending to, and I just had to do that. And of course do the work. I was still working some, but I just had to keep saying no to things and rescheduling things or canceling things. And I was supposed to give a workshop. We're still giving the workshop. It got rescheduled, but I was supposed to give a workshop, and I think it was before Milton was getting ready to hit, and I'm giving this workshop. It's a trauma-informed quantum practitioner continuing education workshop. Really excited about it. And what I was planning to do, I'm still planning to do some of it, but everything has been shown to me over the last 6 weeks. So what I was planning on doing has somewhat been shifted, but more enhanced by my personal experience over the last 6 weeks. And honestly, that part couldn't be more perfect. But really, could there not have been another way for me to learn all this and experience it so that I could teach it in a workshop? But we were going to do the workshop. I was going to do the workshop. I was like, you know what? If I have power, yeah, I'm on. And then this is the way trauma brains will sometimes work too. I am the type of person that will just persevere, or just push through. Let's just push it through. And I was planning on that, and then Meredith, beautiful Meredith Oak, said, "Kelly, we can reschedule. This is a lot. You've lost everything on the first floor of your house, all of your vehicles. There's this other storm is headed. You may not have power, and yeah, we don't have. Let's postpone this." And I immediately felt a great deal of relief. And was like, at first, I was like, "No, I think I can do it." And then I was like, "What are you doing? Like, you probably should not give a, not that we wanna should or shouldn't on ourselves, but probably not a good idea to give a trauma informed workshop when you have a trauma brain. Give your brain some time to heal. Give yourself space. And so I did. That's what we were doing. So the workshop is now November 15th, which is next Friday. Very exciting, and has it's taken new shape as I have been in this experience. And then also a lot of the questions that have been coming in, which are really, really helpful for me to see what people need to know as practitioners. What do they want to know? What are they craving? Where do they find that they're getting tripped up with clients and they feel like they can't help them? So I'm really excited about all of that. And we'll be doing a little bit of havening to create a safe haven in that workshop. And the workshop is intended for practitioners, but anybody can attend. It's through the Institute of Applied Quantum Biology. And so, yeah, anybody can register for that and come to the workshop and learn a little bit more. And we're just going to have an experience of well, this is the intention, the plan that I have is to create a safe haven for us to talk about one of the hardest things to talk about, which is trauma. Trauma is hard to talk about, trauma is hard to listen to, even if we're not talking about traumatic experiences specifically. Just that language is just the word is very can be triggering to people. We automatically start thinking about different experiences that we've had with traumatic stress. That's what we're going to be doing on November 15th if anybody wants to join. And I'm just actually very excited. There's a lot still to do, there's a lot of devastation. We are still dealing with that in this area. It doesn't look as much like a war zone, which is really helpful. And every day, a little something gets done and it feels better and better. But for me, the first order of business is always establishing safety and stability. And in order to do that with a practitioner, there needs to be trust. But building trust again in ourselves and our instincts, trust in the world, trust in other people, trust in some higher power, God, life force, energy, whatever, universe, all of that. My priority has been in restoring that in myself and anybody else that I've been working with or been trying to help in my immediate area. Yeah, that's what we've been doing. So if you haven't visited the new website, check it out. You can get there from Quantum Mental Health. You can anxiety-recovery.com. You can still type in nourish-soul.com. All of that will take you to the new website and just poke around. There's some free resources there that might be helpful if you haven't looked into them. You can learn about the Life Wave patches in the shop and also on I'm going to be doing a little more. I'm going to revamp the free course, the biohacking course, because I have just a little video in there and then a handout of all the things that I recommend. But people seem to really like that. And so I'm going to do a little bit more with that. So some of the free resources, there's a free webinar, the Mood and Mitochondria webinar. I redid that and I think it's pretty good myself. So you've got those resources, and I always say start with what's free. It's a good place to start. Start with podcast, start with the free course or a couple of the free webinar, all of that, and see if that's helpful. Hopefully that's helpful to you. And check out the new stuff so you can let us know what you think. And also, let me know what you want to know. What do you want to learn? Those of you who write to me and have questions, I love that. I can't even tell you, I'm a generator. My human design, I'm a generator. I need to respond. I'm a sacral pure generator. So I need to respond to things. So you giving me questions, that is very helpful. And I can respond to that. So now that we're in a place of safety and stability and rebuilding a lot of trust, yeah, we're in a really good place. And we're wrapping up the Nourish Soul podcast season 3. This podcast is being wrapped up at the end of December. because we are rolling out a quantum mental health podcast. Not very surprising, right? I wanted everything to be very consistent. This is the work I'm doing these days. So very similar in terms of I still love the name The Nourished Soul. It's such a good name. So I'm not going to get rid of it. And we may even do some Nourished Soul in-person retreats because people have been very excited about that. And we could do circadian reset retreats. Yeah, so we're just stay tuned for all of that. We're still planning on doing that. But as we phase out the season 3, I was going to say episode 3. No, season 3 of the Nourish Soul podcast. Really good episodes. So I'm very excited. I wanted to honor the Nourish Soul podcast. It's been so important to me. And I've been so honored to be able to do the show that I wanted to make sure we go out with a bang with the show. And it will still be there. All the episodes will be there. I didn't want to just rebrand because to me, that's like throwing out. I mean, the Nourish Soul has been so beautiful. And the interviews have been really lovely and it's been very helpful to me. So I wanted all of that preserved and there and to have this library. And we may even do occasionally some new episodes that just really match nourishing the body, mind, soul, which is what we originally intended for the Nourish Soul podcast, while I'm also launching very exciting quantum mental health because I'm passionate about helping people have a different perspective, a fresh perspective on mental health. I don't know anybody who hasn't had some wounding, which is really what the word trauma means. That's the root is wound. So I don't know anybody that doesn't experience some stress and anxiety. And when the body is worn out and it's been heightened with anxiety, it will naturally then the body knows what to do and becomes depressed. So that the point is for the body to be able to rest and not be in that chronic state of anxiety. But we think of that as a problem. So, mood issues and sleep issues and all of these things, I want to keep bringing you more and more inspiring stories and helpful tools and just a different way of looking at all of those things so that we can live as healthy and vibrant lives as we can. I want everybody to have as much vitality as we can because it does not look like the world is going to get easier to live in. It might, but right now, there appears to be quite a bit of chaos, and finding our center, keeping our center and our calm and our inner calm in the midst of the chaos is really important. So for me, lately, that's also been a lot of surrender, but not collapse. Surrender is not collapse. Don't forget that. We'll be talking more about that, I'm sure. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being loyal listeners, those of you who tune in. And, I apologize for the 6 week break, but I also feel like it was really needed and important. And I've talked Pace into coming and doing an episode on the show with me. So you guys are going to get to meet beautiful Pace. And we're going to talk about some of our favorite parts and people and episodes of the Nourish Soul. So that'll be a really fun episode to do. Yeah. So thanks for being here and go check out the new website. Leave me, leave us comments and questions. Send me questions. I love it. All right. Take care, everybody.